inside the 18. I'm Michael Magid, live from Palm Desert, California. With me, you know him as the czar of the virtual background, the one and only Omar Zini, with the right background this time around, as we all know.
I know. Different background every time we have a different guest, but Mike always wears the same hat. Doesn't matter what episode we're in. So hey, Mike, we gotta get you a new hat, dude.
Yeah. I mean, you know, the thing is that can we put like a GoFundMe together for me to get a new hat? I mean, I don't know. I don't think that's probably not necessary. I think I can scrounge together the $20 to find me a new hat. It's not like getting a new computer like you did last year, Omar.
No, but we'll get you. I have to say the right name. We introduced the guest now. Klepp. I'll get you a Klepp hat. That's the one.
That's what I need.
I'll get you one.
There we'll go. Go ahead, Omar.
No, I'm just it says Saskia is trying to enter, so I'm trying to admit her, but it's not working.
I am too, and it's not letting her in either, which is so weird. I don't know what the heck's going on. But guys, we're the reason that Omar's got that fantastic background going on right there, that Klepp IL background. I hope I pronounced that properly. Is because we have Klepp IL goalkeeper coach Geir Hakon. Did I say it close?
Yeah, that's good. Close enough.
Right. I gave it close enough. Guys, so Geir Hakon. Oh boy, this is going to be a good edit. This is going to be a wonderful edit. Honestly, Geir, thanks for coming on, man. I know that in Norway right now it's very late, so we appreciate you taking the time to stay up late with us.
No problem. It's not that late. No problem at all.
I don't know what's going on with Saskia in this waiting room right here. Up, two people. Let's see. Can we admit either one? I'm just letting everybody join. So let's see what happens here. I think Saskia's joined 3 times, so this should be interesting to see what happens. Now, while we're letting Saskia into the room right now, Geir, there's a lot of people out there, probably maybe in the United States, who might not be familiar, kind of with the Norwegian league and the level of the league. Why don't you tell us a little bit about the league and the club in general?
Yeah, to take the club first, Klepp is one of the teams in the top league, of course, who has been for the longest time in the top league in Norway, very consistent in the top league. Been a little bit up and down last year. 2 years ago, we ended on second place. Last year, we ended on bottom half, big difference there. We're trying to use as much local players as possible, but it's hard on that level. So we have to get some players from the States or outside Scandinavia every year.
Well, you know, I mean, what's really fascinating though is, and obviously, you know, Saskia knows this in regards to what during her playing career, but your league back when Saskia was playing, I mean, it was considered one of the top in the world. I mean, that was one of the top places to go, right, Saskia?
Actually, Sweden.
Oh, Sweden. Oh, okay.
Okay.
Oh boy, man. I'm all over the place here. For those of you guys,
but it's okay. It's the same as you saying that the Dutch and the Norwegian were the same. So I mean, we'll deal with it. No, but back in the day, like back in the day, there were only 2 places you could really go to play pro, and that was Sweden. That was Scandinavia, basically, and Japan, and that was it. And if you look back on the World Cups and everything, that's where the strength came from. The Norwegians, the Swedish, like everybody, they were the top teams in the world because, you know, their countries put as much into the women at that time that anybody else did.
Yeah, you know, I mean, and actually that's a really fascinating point what you were saying right there, Saskia. And I know Geir, obviously that Klepp was one of the first, you know, teams in this league here. But I would say that Norway was definitely a trailblazer in the women's game.
Oh my God, are you kidding me? Absolutely, they were our biggest rival, 100%. They were something that you can talk to any 99er or anyone in the 95 World Cup, that when we lost to Norway in the semifinals, They rubbed it in our face a little bit, and it's something that none of us have ever forgotten to this day. Let's put it that way.
So Saskia's saying she's been waiting for this podcast for someone from Norway to.
Well, no, because I turned around.
Release it all.
We turned around 4 years later and won the World Cup. So I'm not. but it is absolutely something. It's something that you never forget, you know. And when I'll put it this way, it's this simple. When we lost to Arizona State the other day with UCLA. And they kept cheering and cheering after the game. And they were doing some weird thing. And Amanda turned to me, and I was sitting there with this look on my face. And she goes, Norway. I go, absolutely. It's something you never forget. I love you, Norwegians. I love you, Vikings. But that will piss me off for my entire soccer career.
Yeah, quick question.
They did this thing. They got on a train. They were like doing this choo-choo train around the field.
I remember
they
that
hadn't
one.
won the World Cup. They just beat us. So it was like, see?
I remember that one. But you know, with Norwegian, we are bad losers, but even worse winners.
Yeah. No,
go ahead, Omar.
No, I watched. I mean,
you said it. You said it.
No, can you guys hear me, Mike?
Yeah. You're coming
Okay.
a little in and out, but yeah, we can hear you.
Okay. No, I mean, I mean, we see with Haaland, you know, with Dortmund as one of the best players in the world, and I think on the women's side as well. I forget her name, but she, you know, is the best player in the world as well. And I watched something recently, one of the publications here, Real Sports, with Brian Gumbel, and they you know brought up the way sports are being run at the youth level in Norway. And I remember one of the quotes was that they don't do national, or they don't do rankings. It's like a nationally mandated thing where they don't do rankings until you're 12 years old, because I think they want to obviously keep everybody, you know, having fun, but at the same time too, they want to allow kids who maybe hit puberty at a different time, or their skill set comes in a little bit later, late bloomers. So how important has that been on the ground level for you? Have you noticed that?
Yeah, it's two sides of that, of course, because we always compare us to, for example, Iceland, and it's impossible for us to understand why Iceland is better than Norway in football. They qualified for the European and the World Cup many years, couple of years now, and we don't. Yeah. But I guess that's because in Iceland they are they're letting the good players being good earlier. They can start getting professional coaches earlier than do in Norway, and I guess that's why Norway are a little bit behind, for example, Iceland. But it's getting better now. More professional coaches. This parent coaching is not so much anymore than it used to be. That they pick the parent and you're the coach for the team and do it as you want to. So it's getting better in Norway too, but we still have a long way to go to getting more professional on that, on the youngsters.
Yeah.
You know, one thing, Geir, that I've been noticing a lot is the trend, and we've discussed this on the show as well. You know, Omar and Saskia and I and myself, is that there's a lot of players, especially from Scandinavia, that are coming over to the universities here in the United States. You know, is that a trend that you're seeing where you're having your youth academy players deciding to go overseas to go to university rather than try to play professionally?
Yeah, I don't know how it is now compared to earlier year, but it's always someone who want to go to the States to take education and play soccer in the States. So yes, that's trend. I don't know if it's bigger right now or smaller than it used to be, but yeah, it's still people who want to go to the States.
Yeah. Well, so anyway, guys, let's kind of jump into this topic right now. And by the way, Geir, as we're kind of going into this, Saskia's having some technical issues, so she might be coming in and out, unfortunately. But we will do the best to edit her to make it seem like a seamless transition in the podcast. Today's topic, guys, this is actually something that Geir brought up to me, and it actually, Omar, we had a discussion with Ian a while back in regards to delay movement on flighted balls, and Geir brought up this exact same thing. And, I thought, oh my gosh, it'd be great to do an episode where we're actually talking about the session design to teach this delayed movement. So first off, Geir, before we kind of get into that, what do we mean by delaying our movement on the flighted ball?
Yeah, when I first started talking to you or writing to you, we talked about this, and the problem for a lot of goalkeepers is that they are taking a step out or to the ball, towards the ball too early. In a split second, the ball is kicked. The goalkeeper is taking one step ahead, and especially for women's goalkeeper, because of their height, they are out of position, totally out of position if they take the first step too early. Yeah, because of the height, of course, they have to be even more accurate on those things, or that thing. Is my opinion or my experience. Yeah.
I mean, I think you just brought up a really good point, because, Omar, I mean, we've had this discussion in regards to just judging that movement is so difficult, especially at the youth ages, and to kind of understand like when you delay and when you don't delay, because a lot of times kids will hear, oh, delay, and so they'll just stop. They'll freeze thinking delay means don't move, when it really means just pause your movement before you move.
Yeah, no, I probably mentioned it a few times on this podcast, but when I got to the Galaxy Academy, our goalkeeper coach asked us what we wanted to work on. And obviously early ages, you don't get that many crosses, and the ones that you do, it's very rare. They try to go through balls, 1v1, things like that. But then as you get older, that whipped in service and that speed down the flanks becomes more prevalent. So we told them, we said, look, we're still very unfamiliar at 15 years old, so we'd really love to get more crosses in. And you could see, we probably took, let's say, I'll put 75 to 100 crosses per goalkeeper each week. And probably by 6 months in, I started realizing that, if you talk about delay or pause, that right away had not a derogatory, but I was just like, that's not the way to do it. I've been taught to go, and that's the way I want to be as a goalkeeper, is, the own my box. And then as you start kind of changing the narrative and the perspective on that word of delay or hold or crosses in general, then your mind starts to shift. Okay, I'm okay holding and pausing for that 1 second. And then as I got more and more reps, I figured out that works, that doesn't work, that works, that doesn't work. So for me, it's just, crosses may not be the sexiest thing. Gary, you could probably correct me if I'm wrong, but I think, nowadays we talk about social media, we talk about the influence it has on kids, and you see Neuer and the saves that he makes on TV, and Ter Stegen, and everybody wants to copy that, and they want sessions just like that to make those saves, when rarely we are making those saves in games. And crossing is one of those things that's very, I guess it's not sexy. So coaches like myself sometimes I'll just be like, I'm not bringing up the camera today, guys. We're going to just do crosses. And you're timing. And some kids, they come out, they have no idea what they're doing, and they look to you for answers, but they've never been subject to those sessions. So that's my long answer, to make a short answer of, they don't get enough reps, in my opinion.
But it's interesting a point that they are looking at, for example, Manuel Neuer, as you say. I had a goalkeeper a few years ago. She's now on the national team of Norway. She came to training and she started doing something else than what we were doing. And I asked her, what are you doing now? Yeah, I've been watching in Manuel Neuer what he is doing. And I was like, but excuse me, but you're 5'5" and he's 6'5". You can't use the same technique as he does. And she didn't understand in the beginning what the big difference was. But yeah, she understood it after a while. So it's good, of course, to go and find techniques that the big goalkeepers are using, but not everyone can just copy it and expect that it works the same way. It doesn't work that way.
Geir, I have a question for you, because, I think one of the issues in regards to crosses and why they're so difficult, especially for youth goalkeepers, is that just the whole mental, I don't want to say the anxiety, but kind of it's a very stressful situation, especially for a young goalkeeper who's maybe not that tall yet, maybe doesn't have that explosive ability yet, and there's so much time, because a lot of times, especially at the younger ages, there's so much air under the ball. It's not as driven a ball because they're not hitting the ball as well. So they have all this time to think about it, and they freak out and they overrun the ball.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. If you have a male goalkeeper who is, for example, 6 feet, and he often compensates with a great vertical jump. But you won't find, I know someone's going to hate me for this, but you won't find a female goalkeeper who is 5'5" and has the same vertical jump as a male goalkeeper. That female goalkeeper doesn't exist. I have not found her yet. So that makes it even more important for the female goalkeeper to be patient, wait until the ball is getting kicked, and then make you move. Don't take the step too early. Because the male goalkeeper will compensate and stop and jump with 2 feet and pick that ball down, but the female goalkeeper, she needs to jump on 1 foot and get the knee up and all that technical stuff.
I mean, yeah. You know, you go ahead, Omar.
No, I mean, in layman's terms, the way I describe it to some of the younger goalkeepers that I train, just to as easy as I can make it, as just blatant as I can say, is look. If you ever got into a car and you just started driving without knowing the direction, you may find yourself maybe 1 out of 10 times you went the right direction and you got lucky that was the way the house was or your friend's house was. But for the most part, that time that you could take 1 minute to go look up the directions, find out where you were going, and then, you were 1 minute later than somebody who took off early, but now you know exactly where you're going, and that person has to get very lucky. So for us as goalkeepers, and the way I teach it to the kids is that, on that cross, your first step was great. You got there and it was, awesome. But we can't put a blanket statement for that specific scenario and say that's exactly how I'm going to do it every single time. And like you talk about right now, Geir, about, Manuel Neuer, for example, he can take certain liberties that I'm 6 feet, so that I can't take, let alone someone who's 5'5". He can stay up on top of his 6 because his reach is almost 7 feet. So he can reach up there and grab that ball that I can't. So for me, I need to create that window of space so I can gain my momentum, because I need to get up to 7 feet and I need that little bit extra space to drive my knee up to get up. So again, it's just that understanding for those kids that it's finding what works for you, but as coaches as well, it's how do they find that? Well, they need a ton of reps and a ton of mistakes before they can figure it out.
Yeah, I totally agree. We had a fantastic goalkeeper last year in Klepp from the States, Adelaide Gay. I guess you know her. Fantastic goalkeeper. She wasn't the tallest one, and we had to work with her that she couldn't start on crosses on 3 meters. I don't know what that is in feet, but she had to start on a line or on 1 meter to get the 2 or 3 steps before she jumped after the ball. And if they think that they can stay or be on 5 meters when the ball is getting kicked, they're just fooling themselves. They have to start further close to the line and get the steps and get the height to catch the ball.
It's something that's always really been interesting to me, Geir, is why a lot of especially youth goalkeepers don't understand that when that ball is lifted, you can change your positioning. You can create more depth if you need to. It doesn't have to be a forward movement towards the ball. But I think one of the problems is they think, okay, but anything, coaches, right? Young youth coaches, a lot of times, and not necessarily goalkeeper coaches, but field coaches will say anything inside your 6-yard box, which I'm not sure what that is in meters, but the box right there, that is yours. You need to come for it. So a young goalkeeper thinks, oh, I need to come at anything in that box. They don't think about a retreat and then an approach to allow that time to build up momentum to come for that ball.
We picked up a new goalkeeper this year from Denmark. She's Katrine Larsen. She's 6 feet, totally different goalkeeper type than Adelaide Gay, for example. But she has never been told about being patient enough. They've always been talking about the timing with her, and she was like, she's very smart. She understands what I say, and she said that it makes sense. Why have no one told me this before? That is about patience, not about the timing. It's about patience, not taking a step forward too early. But she's totally different goalkeeper type than Adelaide Gay, for example. So we have to work on her on another way than I did with Adelaide Gay. Even though the technique is most perfect on both of them, but they have totally different types.
Saskia, can you hear us? See if she can hear us. All right, I think she might still be frozen. Okay, well, we are trying here. So Geir, let's talk a little bit about some of these kind of variables that come into play in regards to the delayed movement, because I think the service really determines how much of delay you can give. If it's a more driven ball, it's more direct approach. If it's a less driven ball, you have a little bit more time.
Yeah, of course. And in our part of Norway, it's always windy, so we all have to take care of that too. But yeah, of course, a big difference on how the ball is flying. But I mean that it's always easy also for a goalkeeper to move forwards and backwards. And in the split second take a step forward, you're out of position and you have to move in too many times. You have to go backwards, and that's a big problem when you're 5'5" or something. It's harder than to come back in position.
Yeah, trust me. As somebody who's a smaller goalkeeper, go ahead, Omar.
No, I'm with you. You can finish that. I think we probably finish that joke for ourselves. But no, I think that. But I think when I started seeing a specific shift, I mean, I got burned pretty bad. It was a high school season. I don't know if it happened over there, but Jesus, my grandma is. Oh, no, we had a high school season, and I had done nothing throughout the game. We were tied 2-2, and they had a long thrower, and I said, I'm coming for this ball. And without even seeing the context, without even seeing where this ball was going to be thrown, I said, I'm coming for it. And then from there, I came for it, and it went straight over my head, and the guy was free, a right open goal, header, 89th minute, we lost 3-2. So then I realized, okay, you know what? There's a fundamental issue with what I'm thinking about prior to crosses, prior to any service coming in the box. It's always telling myself that I have to do something, I have to come, I have to do whatever extreme it is. Then I started realizing, okay, if I can just shift the perspective of what I think before a cross, then maybe that's going to influence the biology, the physical aspect of what I'm going to do, my decision making. We talk about pausing, we talk about delaying, but I started shifting from I have to come for this I don't have to come for every ball. Like I really don't. And when I started doing that, there were times where the ball would be served in and the initial trajectory would look very appetizing. I'm coming. That's beautiful. And then last second, the ball would dip, and luckily my defender was there. Then I got to college, and we had guys on my back line, right center back, left center back, who were 6'4", 6'5". And my goalkeeper coach and my head coach said, Omar, these guys, they have scholarships. They come to the school for a reason. They have jobs. Let them do their job, and whatever they don't get, you clean up. So again, completely different mindset than I had at Galaxy when I had guys who were a little bit shorter, so I needed to clear that space. So not even the service, but it's more so who are your defenders and what are their strengths? And then that also applies for you. How can I let them use their strengths and then at the same time clean up whatever they don't?
I had the same issue as you. I'm always also 6 feet, and I love to go on those floating balls into the area. But I compensated on my vertical jump was very good, and my timing was good, so I had no problem on those with a lot of air under it. But when they came lower, of course, bigger problem for me when it was like a duel on 6 feet, something like that. It was harder for me.
I mean, I think that's something that's very, very common with smaller goalkeepers. Saskia, can you hear us right here?
I can. Can you hear me?
Yep, we can hear you. Yes, we got Saskia Weber back. This is a big problem, and we've discussed it before in regards to the fact that when you have more, if you're a smaller goalkeeper and you have more time, now you're in a disadvantageous situation, because that if you have more time means the other team has more time to get under the ball too. So now you're in a situation where it's more difficult for you to push off to that ball, and you have to recognize what you can win and what you can't win, as a smaller goalkeeper.
Well, it's all timing, to be honest with you. When you're a smaller goalkeeper, you have to leave late, arrive early, and jump through, like the bottom line. You have to realize that going up, it's the same as a rebound in basketball. You have to realize, am I going up against like 6-7 guys and jumping up for a rebound, or am I going to time it and get my vertical on, jump up through and clear the pack? And so as a smaller goalkeeper, that would behoove you to do. Like if you get into a mix with people and try to come straight up, you're not going to win. And even if you do it, it's going to be a melee. Maybe you mishandle the ball, maybe you parry it on or something like that. So it's all about timing on that for a smaller goalkeeper.
Saskia, exactly what you just said yesterday. If anybody watched the Man U game, Dean Henderson got the start, and I think it was probably like 20, 30 minutes in. They served not a lofted ball, it was off a corner, but there was everybody right in front of him. Like you said, the pack was right there. And that ball came in, and he did not have the space because everyone was on top of him to actually create momentum. So that ball he went straight up. There was no like momentum going one way, forward or back. He went straight up, tried to catch the ball. And again, if you say, hey, catch the ball at the highest point, he got to the highest point, but he had no momentum. One of the pillars that you need is momentum to actually drive through the pack, as Saskia saying. He didn't have that. He chose to catch instead of punch. And by textbook definition, good decision, right? No. In that situation, the context, he could have punched that ball, was clear. He ends up dropping the ball. It gets stuck under a few legs. They clear it. So he got extremely lucky. But at the same time, in the situation, it did not present a good catching opportunity. He should have punched it. But on paper, and a young goalkeeper who's literal can say, oh, I would have probably caught that. But when you actually see it, you're like, okay, chose the wrong decision here.
Right. But it's the same thing. Like if field player coaches need to understand this, it's the same thing to dumb it down in the sense of timing on your runs, right? So if somebody's in too early on a service and everything, so you get a good service into the box, right? But your runners are in too early and that ball is lofted too much, they're not going to get any power behind their header, right? They're not. They're going to jump up and maybe it's a flick on, maybe it's like a weak header or something. But when you have your timing proper, and the service comes in, you head through the ball and it's in the back of the net. And you get power behind it. It's the same thing for a goalkeeper. If you time it right and you run through the pack, then you have a good parry or a good box and it's out to the outside of the 18. Or you come up and you catch it and you like leave late, arrive early, power through. Like that's what I grew up understanding. So it's the same concept. So for field player coaches out there that understand, it's your runners getting in too early. It's the same concept.
Yeah.
I agree. I'm always telling my goalkeepers that if you're jumping on 2 feet, then you're too early. If you jump on 1 foot, then your timing is good. Your patience is good. That's the parameters I'm using very often.
I love that. I've loved it. I've never heard that one before. That's an awesome one.
But Mike, he's 100% right. Think about it.
Yeah.
If a goalkeeper arrives too early, how are they going to jump? Like they're not going to step back and do a power step and go up. They're jumping off of 2 feet and just kind of in the mix and trying to catch the ball. And you're up against people like, and we like to say like with our hands and our arms, we're higher than everybody else. But think about it. If a forward is timing their run, but you're jumping straight up off 2 feet, you're going to lose that fight. You're going to lose that fight.
Yeah.
Because we've seen pictures of people's verticals doing the timing right. You're going to lose the fight.
Yeah. That's a great point right there, because like when I was just thinking about this in regards to when I see a lot of younger goalkeepers, and Geir, I don't know if this is an issue in Norway as well too at the younger levels, but it is here in the United States, and they're learning how to deal with a flighted ball. They're flat-footed underneath the ball, and they're just going straight up, and nobody's correcting them. Nobody's teaching them to recover back and have that runway like a plane to be able to come into the ball. They're teaching them the mechanics of the vertical movement, but they're not working on how far back they are. I always say it's got to be 6 inches from your nose. If it's not 6 inches in front of you from your nose, then you're still under the ball.
I will say it even in another way, that the biggest problem for young goalkeepers in Norway is that they're good at getting put in a corner. You have to be warm in about 20 minutes, then we're going to play. And if they're lucky, they get a parent who's going to shoot some balls at them, and they go in on YouTube and find some nice drills. And that's good, but they don't know how to use the drills. They don't know what to look for. Small details that are the most important things in that drill. And it irritates me so much that they do that with the goalkeepers, the most important player on the team.
Look, you're preaching to the choir here. It's one of our biggest pet peeves. The youth tournaments where the goalkeeper, is on, the whole team is warming up and there's a youth goalkeeper, who gets a parent from the stands who comes out and they just, toss some balls at them and then they're supposed to go into the game. Meanwhile, the entire team got a full actual quality warm up and they're supposed to be on the same level.
I would like to say it's youth. I sat there, you know this. I sat there so irritated 2 months ago and was watching a live stream of a quote unquote ID camp from a major NWSL team. And I'm sitting there watching the teams warm up, doing their rondos, doing everything like that. And I look in the corner of the video, and the keepers just stand there hitting volleys to themselves. There's nobody with them. There's nothing. They're just hitting. This is an NWSL team that's trying to profile their young keepers for college ID. And I got 2 goalkeepers hitting volleys to themselves, having a conversation about what happened in school that day. And I'm sitting there watching it going like, I'm not upset at the goalkeepers. I'm upset at you. I'm upset at, first of all, you took my time to have to watch this. And second of all, then right from there, they go into like power finesse, or they go into some sort of shooting drill. And I'm like, apparently you don't care. Like, you remember, Mike, I was so irritated. Irritated. And
it's a good thing. Omar, they should have hired you. They should have hired Pro GK to shoot those sessions right there.
But it's just it's that we keep going back to that, and you would expect it at a higher level and a major NWSL club with their academy, and I was mortified watching that. Mortified.
Yeah. Kind of moving it back to kind of just in regards to just the crossing element right now, Geir. I know you had some clips. Do you want to share some of these session designs for us here?
Yeah. Let me see if I know how to do this. I didn't have too many clips, but I have two different clips. I can show you the bad one first from my young goalkeeper. She just turned 18. She's as many young keepers, very she doesn't have the patience that she needs in life in general, I guess. But the first clip is when she fails. Let me see if I know how to do this.
So you just press share screen. No. The green button to share screen. Yep, there we go. And then just find the clip.
This is I guess, do you see it?
Yeah, it's called fail.
Yeah, it's called fail. Here she starts too early, and the ball goes over, and I miss. Of course, that's okay. She starts a movement a little bit too early. Did you see that?
Yeah, let's see it again. Let's see it again. I kind of want to give the picture.
Let's see it again. Okay.
First steps towards the ball.
Okay.
Yeah. Wait. Of course, the two crosses is not the same, but this is the fail. Fail again. Let's see. Kick, step early, running after the doing.
Okay, so it's coming kind of coming in and out. Can everyone see that? Or it's coming a little choppy for me. Does anybody else
but I understand what you're saying is that her first step, and this is, Geir, this is a problem that a lot of young goalkeepers have. It's that first step that you go towards the ball instead of taking a pause. And this is something that I found that I have to teach out of goalkeepers. It's a natural reaction from anybody. Here comes the ball, I'm going to run towards it. And the bottom line, you have to, again, leave late and right. You have to take that step. And for me, when I was playing, I actually, to catch myself, would take a step. My first step would be backward. I'd take a heel step backward. It'd be like a preset, almost like what you don't want to do in other situations, but it'd be a preset just to hold myself. You have to assess the ball and then power through to where and pick your point. And this happens so much with younger goalkeepers. Their first step is forward. I'm dealing with this at times as well with my goalkeepers, but their first step is forward. Look, first step forward, and it runs right over her. And so she has, it's hard as it is to teach a goalkeeper to hold. You have to hold a split second and then go.
This goalkeeper, she's, as I said, just turned 18, and she's extremely explosive. Everything she does is explosive. But I don't know. Have you seen the clip? Is it possible for you to see the clip, or is it hard?
Yeah. Oh no, we're able to see it. yeah, we're able to see
Yeah,
it.
and you
One
see,
thing-
yeah,
Yeah,
and
go
you see that she's jumping on 2 feet when she's catching them. And she doesn't catch the ball. She's jumping on 2 feet because the timing and the patience is not good enough.
I
Yeah.
think
Yeah,
here's
but she's also getting caught up, like, and this is another thing, she's getting caught up in the other people in the box. So
Definitely.
what you find is when goalkeepers come forward or their timing is off, it's because runners go by them and they get caught up in their peripheral of, oh my God, that person's going there. That's not your problem. Your only problem is the ball. So just keep calm, see where the ball's going to go. And then if she's that explosive, if she holds a step, then she'll be able to take a step and power through. You know,
Definitely.
but if she's getting caught up in her peripheral by, oh, there's a runner there, or there's this there, that's something that it's a very hard thing to teach out of kids, but it's what we have to do.
And Garrett, one thing you just mentioned there that I think is super important is that when you said she's young but she's very athletic, I think a lot of times people assume whenever they're being scouted or whenever they're in sessions, they need to showcase their talent, what they are exceptional at. And if you're saying she's athletic, I had a guy who I used to train. In his head, he always thought, well, shoot, I'm so fast, I can jump really, really high, so I have to be good at crosses, I have to be explosive. So there's no foundational principle of like, I need to be patient so that I can see it, bottle up what I'm exceptional at, and use it at the proper time. So I think as well as the runners, I think for her is like, she's just like a lot of kids as well, is just go, 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 because I want to show that I can get to that ball at the highest point. And that's another phrase we use, catch the ball at the highest point. And I think we get so fixated on that these kids don't understand when to actually go and when to actually stay, because all they want to do is showcase their exceptional quality.
Well said.
Yeah.
I have another clip. Yeah. Do you see me? Or do you see my desktop now? What do
Can
you see?
play? You can play Lady Gaga, Bradley Cooper, Shallow if you want.
Yeah, it's my daughters. This is actually the ball that was played right after the one you saw now. Yeah.
So
Did you see that, or?
Better. I still think.
Of course,
better. It's better.
It's of course a different ball. It's not so deep into the box, but still she's more patient, and she's not taking the step out or towards the ball too early. She waits.
No,
and there
so
she is.
if you watch her feet on the initial hit, she actually like just sets herself. She doesn't lunge forward. So watch her feet. Boom, boom. She sets herself, even takes a step back, and then she powers through. So if she's that explosive, that's what I'm saying. Take a quick step, like just do what you have to do, and then power through. And she takes the proper line to the ball. It's when you get caught up in everybody else that you get drawn into things and you're coming forward. Look, Lauren's doing it every once in a while as well. And I'm like, yesterday in our Washington game, like there was a corner kick and she, totally like misjudged. Sorry, hope you're watching. We'll go over video this week, but she totally misjudged it, kept coming, and it went past her. Now, granted, she's covering a lot of ground on it and thinking as an athlete, I can make up for it. But in hindsight, first of all, that ball was kicked way too far post. Second of all, just take a step back and stay in your goal, because if anybody heads that ball, you could just collect it, right? But what you've done is drawn yourself out of position, and now if somebody heads it, there's an open goal. So it's taking that pause and reading the line of the ball. That's what Omar was saying.
There's something I want to bring up real quick, guys, if you don't mind. And I think this is something, especially with the younger goalkeepers, that they don't understand. It's about making contact with the ball at its destination, rather than trying to intercept the ball as it's moving to its destination. Because I think this is how a lot of younger goalkeepers get caught, is they approach the ball trying to win the ball rather than trying to get into the area where the ball's going to end up. Because again, the outfield players as well, they can't get the ball when it's in flight either. They have to wait for the ball to drop as well. So all you're doing by approaching the ball is opening up that area for the outfield players to be able to make contact on the ball at its destination and beat you, you know?
Yeah, and that's and like exactly. So what you're saying right there is exactly what we mentioned at the beginning. Is that when kids are watching Manuel Neuer, as Geir was saying, one of his goalkeepers, like his destination and his attributes are going to be completely different than yours. So what he can get away with and probably intercept it sometimes, and his margin of error is a little bit bigger than ours. He could get away with because he's so damn tall. So if he takes a misstep, his 7-foot wingspan is going to allow him to either get a touch on it, punch it, or try and catch it in traffic. For us, it's like we're going to literally completely overrun it, and it's going to go over our head. And I just wanted to bring up one thing, and I think, you know, as I've gotten older, not just in goalkeeping but in life, like there are things that just the things that like
you could be my child.
Well, there's like there are certain things that are supposed to be done, and as you get older, you go, oh, that's why they've always done it that way because it works. So, for example, us as goalkeepers, when there's an outswinger, right, we step a little bit higher. Why is that? Because when the ball goes further away from us, our window gets bigger and bigger and bigger. So it allows us to actually gain momentum and punch. When there's an in-swinger, the window is going to be smaller because that ball is going to be right on top of us. So we stay a little bit further back so we can keep that window accessible to us and open just in case we want to gain some momentum. So I think that's the way to understand it is like that idea on top of what Mike is saying on there's a certain path for it, on top of there's physical attributes and characteristics that each one of us possess that we need to hold so that we can access it and use it at the right time. So it's a whole process, but I don't think you actually are able to dissect like step 1 through whatever, how many steps are for crossing until you get those repetitions where you're going to get so many bad ones that eventually you get to step 10 if there's 10 steps to a cross. And you know what I mean? So I think that's important as well.
I think that's really well said, Omar, because something that we don't teach, we teach, I know you do, Omar and Mike, but is that angle. Is it an outswinger? Is it an in-swinger? If it's an outswinger, can you steal some space? Can you steal that extra yard? So your starting position's a little bit off your line, a little bit higher. If it's an in-swinger, so that can come right on top of you, yeah, then you have to hold a little bit. And that changes your explosion through the ball. It changes your directory, like it changes everything. And so like, but it's not as simple as a cross. It is that. How deep is that service coming from the end line? How high is it coming from the top of the 18? What are we looking at here? Is this a direct, like there's like, I don't mean to scare people out there, but there's a lot going into this thought process. You know, can this be a driven ball from the, you know, outside the 18 top corner, a little further out, that this can kind of potentially be a threat to me on line as well, even though she's a right footer or he's a right footer? Or is this driven so down onto the baseline that you know that this ball is going to be crossed, you know it's an outswinger, so how much ground can you steal? And that comes down to positioning and really understanding the game as like a chess match. Yeah.
You know, Geir, something that I want to bring up with you is, you know, and I'm sure it's something that you've worked on a lot with your, not only yourself, but with other goalkeeper coaches, is making sure that our session design allows for different services. And that we're varying that service. I think one of the biggest issues at the youth level especially is that the coach is serving over and over again the same ball. So the goalkeeper gets accustomed to moving for one particular ball. And when they're thrown into a situation in a game where, like you said, the wind takes the ball farther, the ball comes in a little bit heavier, a little bit more direct, they don't know what to do because they've only been doing their muscle memory is only that one movement.
Yeah, I'm never playing the ball on a cross from the corner spot because it doesn't happen too often. Of course, I do that too, but I play the ball from the line and all the way to the midfield into the box to train on all kind of different balls. Because of the the delay of the startup in Norway this season, we're doing even more training on crossers, just to I mean, that is for female goalkeepers. I mean that is maybe the thing that they have much more to gain. It's the hardest part for a lot of female goalkeepers. Yeah, so we're doing it a lot now in these days when waiting on the startup of the season.
I think that the best way to go about, coaches out there watching and stuff, you have to do it in transition. It can't be stagnant. It can't be, you know, okay, I got a server out here and a server out here, hit a ball, hit a ball, hit a ball. Like if you can make it into we talk about this all the time, like some sort of a, when are you getting into that situation? Usually the ball's coming down the center and everything like that. Maybe it's getting pinged around and all of a sudden it gets pinged out to flank, right? So regardless of where that is, what is your movement as a goalkeeper? How are you adjusting to, all right, I'm dealing with this. Maybe I can potentially have a shot from the outside of the 18. Maybe they served, you know, my 9 and she posts up and she kicks it and we serve it out. And you're dealing with that. So what is your movement to deal with the cross now? So are you going too far near post? You know how I feel about this right now, Michael. How are you readjusting too far near post? Are you dropping back and adjusting properly depending on where that through ball just went and where the service can possibly come from? So coaches out there that are listening that are saying, okay, just hit some balls from out there, hit some balls from out there. It's not realistic because your goalkeepers are just standing in the same spot and catching balls. If you can move them, all right, even if it's, let's say it's 2 of you, all right, even if you could say you're coming forward, get a volley, get a shot, get whatever, now roll the ball out, I'm going to hit it first time to the winger, they're going to want to touch it and they're going to serve it in. You have to adjust, and it's really about, as coaches, seeing how your goalkeeper adjusts. Is she adjusting in the right angle? Is he adjusting in the right angle, the right position, depending on where you serve that ball or where that ball is coming from? So keep the movement going. Don't make it stagnant.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Omar.
No, just like, I mean, what Geir is saying is on point as well. I mean, I think context for a session is very important, as Saskia saying as well. Like, we're going to work on transition periods. You know, you just came out for a cross, you punched it, you ended up on top of the 6, and now what's the next picture look like? But also too, transition is very important, but also as well is that peripheral awareness. So a lot of times too, you know, that ball is transitioning and they're getting a pass to the wing, and a lot of these coaches do it nowadays where they'll put up a color, they'll put up a number, and the goalkeepers have to communicate that to the far post and say 2 or 1. So at least they get that mental awareness. But another thing that I've noticed, guys, and not enough is being said about this, at least for me, is there are some goalkeepers that when that ball gets served in, whether it's in training or in games, their recovery back to their line sometimes is just so lazy. In my opinion, I say, look, you need to do the hard work early, whether you're showing for a back pass or recovering back to your goal prior to a shot. Do the hard work early. You shouldn't be setting as the shot's being hit. If you can do your best to get more of an idea of, okay, it's at head height, it's close to the PK, I'm not coming, and I've cheated because it was an outswinger. I've cheated about 3 yards out. Can I get back to my line? It's stubbornness, it's discipline. Can I get back to my line? And then from there, based on what the next variable is, I'm in a set position, complete controlled environment because I did my hard work early. So now I can, instead of getting set, planting and going as the shot's being hit a second earlier, I'm already set, and now I can plant and react. So there's so many layers to this, and I think, Saskia, I think the biggest one you're saying, transition, is so big, and you notice.
It is so big. And
yeah.
You brought up something so poignant because it is doing the hard work early. Because guys, I like everybody, I tell you, if you are late and you're going with the flight of the ball, you're gonna lose. Period. You can never travel with the flight of the ball. You can't say, here comes the ball. If it's a long service from top, like 35 yards out straight on, and you're out of position, get back so you can come forward. If you go with the trajectory and the pace and flight of the ball, you will lose every time, period. You'll lose.
I mean, I love what you're saying there, Saskia, and Geir. This is something that I think about consistently, is the fact that I always tell young goalkeepers, the ball is faster than you are. So if you're trying to move at the speed of the ball, you're gonna lose.
Absolutely.
Definitely.
Yeah. So it is
yeah.
like, look, you crazy Vikings out there, like, you have to do crosses all the time because everybody's so damn big.
But I said to my goalkeeper that we signed this year, the Danish goalkeeper, she's 6 feet, as I told you. I'm not impressed if she's the queen in the 6-yard box. I'm not impressed. I want her to be the queen until the penalty spot, because she has the height to be good, maybe all the way out to it's in 16 meters in Norway, but I don't know, but to the penalty spot, she has to be the queen. Yeah, because she has everything that she needs. She just needs to understand it in her head that she can do it.
Yeah, and absolutely, range is important, because anytime that you can own, and I agree with you, it's not your 6-yard box. If you can own to this penalty spot, that just draws their services out further. Then that means that you're manipulating whatever the other team's doing, and now they know that if they put any sort of a flighted ball into anything from the 12 into the goal mouth, then you're going to eat it up. So now that changes their thought process on how to deal with the game. Their coaches stop serving the ball into the goalkeeper. So you own that range, you own that area, and now everything gets pushed out further. Absolutely.
Yeah, and Geir, I think what you're saying is very important. So for any coaches that are listening or players that are listening, I think it's the way you phrase these kind of things to the goalkeepers that will allow you to get to them in the best way. So for example, us growing up is like, you have to control your 6. So for me, it was like, I have to do something. I'm going to do it. And I can't see beyond that. I can't see beyond, the 6 to the 18.
I grew up going, you have to extend your range. You've got to extend your range.
Exactly. And exactly. And I think the way, I'm trying to phrase this the right way, but I think we always talk about how literal people are, but I think when you just say something and that saying has a literal meaning to it, or it has a certain boundary to it, the 18 and that's it, versus like what we see in session topics that we talked about, Mike, about the proactive goalkeeper, or like the goalkeeper who's always one step ahead. I think if you phrase it that way, then the goalkeepers will go, okay, I don't have to be, like you said, the queen of the 6, but I actually can cover all this, and it's being proactive. So that means as the game is going, as I'm transitioning, I say be a pessimist. When you're a pessimist, let's say your right back's getting the ball and they have no one to pass to, be a pessimist and realize even if I'm not the option, I'm going to show so that the striker has to contend with me and the defender. So you're always thinking about what you could possibly do to help the situation. So I think instead of that, I think we need to phrase it as be proactive. And in any situation that you can influence, whether you actually make an influence or not, but can you influence their decision making? I think that's the best way to phrase that.
Yeah.
I think one thing that's really important, Geir, and I would love to hear what you feel about this, is that every movement has to have a purpose. So if you're just moving, and Saskia, you've talked about this before, like if you're just trying to make a play just to show me that you did something and you tried to go for the ball, well, I'm not impressed. I'm not impressed by that. So when you make a decision to move, that movement has to have a purpose. So why are you dropping? Why are you approaching that ball? If you don't know and you can't read the different scenarios, then you're not going to succeed at the professional level.
Talking about the decision, 10 years ago, they asked all the goalkeepers in Norway, the male goalkeepers in top league in Norway, what is the most important thing for a goalkeeper to do? And some of them said they to be good at crosses, good with the feet, good and blah, blah, blah. And they had one smart goalkeeper actually from Canada. He said, the most important thing for a goalkeeper is the decision making. And that, I guess that covers everything. If you do the right decisions as a goalkeeper on crosses or whatever, then you do a good job.
I think I agree with the decision making. I think it's a manipulation, to be honest with you. What's the best thing? I mean, honestly, we can break it down into like control and good decision making on distribution and being there for you. But I think it's a manipulation. Like, I think that the next level of goalkeeping is understanding, like we just said, on crosses. If I'm cheating out, if I'm stealing a little bit of space, if I understand the game, if I understand what the forwards are doing, I understand she's on her right foot, which means it's an in swinger. She's on her left foot from this side. It's an out swinger, like this and that. And I can manipulate the game that way and steal space and kind of like force the mentality on the other team. All right, well, we were told if we keep serving this ball, we keep doing that, we'll be great. Well, you know what? This goalkeeper's on top of it. She's stealing space. She's her range is so far. Well, now we have to change our whole dynamic. Now we have to serve a ball that's hitting the top of the 18 instead of the 12. Now we have to do this. Like, if you can manipulate the other team through your actions and your reading and understanding of the game, and you're in control, well, that is just the end all be all level, in my opinion. Are you okay, Mike?
No. I thought I was waiting for Geir to say something profound. I do want to ask you. Go ahead.
No, you ask.
Okay, I was going to say, because one of the things in regards to that we've been talking about in regards to the delayed movement and the approaching movement, a lot of it is because a lot of young goalkeepers don't have great control of their body. And, no, I mean it's just true. I mean, they're growing.
No,
they're yeah. So and Saskia, you even know this at the college level, even with the freshmen coming in and stuff like that. They're still growing into their bodies and figuring out how to move and everything.
God.
Like,
and it's not even my goalkeepers. Some of our forwards, like Bambi. it's like they're so energetic and they're so great, but they don't have control. Like when you have to flip that switch into I'm explosive, I'm this and that and the other, but I can still turn and move and cut and manipulate and everything. But some of them are, like I said, they're Bambi, they're on wobbly legs, and they get the ball and then it's like
Well, the thing I wanted to bring up is that Geir, obviously, you have a gymnastics background. For those of you guys who are unfamiliar, Geir has a gymnastics background, and I honestly think it probably helped you as a player when during your playing careers, is having that understanding of how to be explosive, but also control and discipline. Can you talk a little bit about how you can use something unconventional like gymnastics to teach these younger goalkeepers how to be disciplined with their movement, so that when they're approaching, they're not all over the place. They have that discipline of how to push off, how to explode, and they can delay and then still get power because they know how to control their body.
Yeah, as you said, I did gymnastics when I was younger, and I started doing some gymnastics later years now. And I will, if I was the boss in my for my goalkeepers, of course I'm boss for my goalkeepers, but for the whole group, I would go in the winter time 1 or 2 times in a week, going to the gymnastic hall and do some drills with my goalkeepers, or even with the outfield players too. Because of the body control, as you said, there's nowhere else you get such a good body control as in gymnastic sport, and also about room orientation, that you always know where you are. After you dive after the ball, after you land, after a collision on a cross or whatever it is, always know where you are. If you're going to take a double front flip and you want to land on your feet, you have to know where you are in the air in the whole flight. And I think maybe especially for a goalkeeper, it's important to know always where you are, where your goal is, and room orientation, and of course body control. A lot of goalkeepers or football players, how they are. They are so stiff that they can't even touch their toes with the straight feet. So if it was up to me, I would go 2 times a week with my goalkeepers. But because of the pandemic now, it's hard to do it because of all the regulations and stuff. But I would love to do it if I had a chance to do it.
I'm going to
Omar-
bring something up that everybody knows I hate more than anything in the world. I hate the K-save. I think it's crap and everything like that. Unless you're like the 1%, like 0.001% that can do it. I think that your body is sold into a certain position that you can't recover from. And I agree with what you're saying so much, in a sense, like, let's say you come up and you stand somebody up, right? You stand somebody up, you close space on a through ball or whatever. Let's say they take a touch like laterally. If you've committed yourself to this stupid save that works in futsal but does not work in the big game, like if you can't recover, but with body control you can actually take a couple steps and shuffle, and maybe with that long touch make the save, right? But if you've committed yourself into this position that you can't recover from, all right, I've done this, boom. Well, they didn't shoot. They've taken a long touch laterally. What are you going to do from there? You're not going to do anything. Now they're just going around you. And so I agree with you 100%. It's about body control and understanding that. And even when we're diving, even when we make a dive, I know you guys are elite goalkeepers and you understand this. If you've made a dive and you've, let's say, parried the ball, tipped the ball, or anything, it's gone off the post and it's come right back into the field of play. How many times body control have you been able to put a foot down and go back the other direction, right? Without thinking. That's control of your body, like in gymnastics. That's understanding when your body's in the air, how you land properly, how you do everything, how you can reposition, get back into a forward position, body weight forward, and go back the other direction right away. And so I agree. I think like gymnastics hands into that. I think anything like a martial arts or capoeira or something, anything that controls your movement to switch in opposite directions at the flip of a dime, like is incredible. Yeah, and I don't care who came up with that save. You can come and yell at me all you want. It doesn't work. Sorry.
Saskia, this is, by Geir, by the way, this is the time of I think there's once a week there's a quota that Saskia has to comment on her,
that I hate
her feeling
K-save.
about the K save.
Save, whatever, star save, whatever you want to call it. I hate it.
Oh my gosh, Omar, are you there, or your
Omar's
grandparents
like, I
walking in
just
the
got it
background?
today. I hate Saskia right now.
No, I think sorry, my grandparents are here.
That's why you've got
but
the
I
virtual
think-
background up so that no one can see behind.
I know. No, but I think, again, when you talk about something like gymnastics, for example, yes, spatial awareness is super important. Calculated movements are also something that obviously is huge. But it's a routine.
I did say capoeira. I love that I said that.
Gymnastics is essentially, there's a routine, and your movements are so calculated because you've done the routine over and over and over. So if you can do something very similar as a coach for those goalkeepers, where you're putting them in so many uncomfortable situations, but essentially those data points now become a combination of a routine, so that when you step into a game, now Saskia's saying, like, you can manipulate certain things because you know that if you put yourself in a bad position, you've already trained that routine before, that you can get yourself balanced and then reassociate yourself and then get ready for a shot. So I think as coaches, we need to continue to transition them from the top of the 18. You see how many, I've watched so many games recently where we get shots from the 18, but as goalkeepers in games, we're getting a lot of those shots where we're sprinting back from playing that sweeper keeper 30 yards. We're sprinting all the way back. It's like a 2v2, and that guy cuts it back and shoots from the 18. So how often are we actually doing that, where they're transitioning all the way back from the 18? So for me, it's just, can we build that routine? I keep trying to get the gymnastics together here to mesh the two. But if you can essentially put that routine over and over and over, and have different variables within that routine, and the goalkeepers know their proper balance after a big movement, short movement, out of possession, in possession, transitioning from 20, 30, 40 yards away. If we can do all that, now I think their job becomes easy. And I think, like Saskia saying, they can take opportunities to manipulate the game because they can get themselves back into the proper position just in case.
I always call it a dance.
Yeah.
I always call it a dance.
It's also about getting the goalkeepers out of the comfort zone, and they're always safe on the pitch, but get them out of the comfort zone, go do something else.
Yes.
But it has to be a value. Goalkeeping is what they do. There has to be a value what you do. You can go skiing, for example, but because that's not a big value, but it has to be like gymnastic, volleyball, or whatever, something like that.
No, exactly. Yeah, don't go snowboarding, goalkeepers, because you'll break your wrist. But I bring up those things, and you know how I feel, Michael, and Omar feels about like doing other sports. The bottom line is understanding your movement and body positioning. Like, even like I said, basketball. If you're playing basketball, like, are you a shorter basketball player? Are you going straight up on a rebound? Or are you realizing that you're 2 and 4 inches tall, like shorter than everybody else, and now you're timing your rebound? And those are all things that'll help in goalkeeping. Period.
Yeah, no, it's good. Saskia, you said this in regards to this with the timing and all of that, and then the understanding of the body and all that. Because, Geir, I think personally, I'm just thinking about out loud right now, but
How short
maybe
you are?
at the young, yes, I'm thinking about that out loud. No, I'm thinking about maybe at the younger ages. I'm talking about the introductory ages of goalkeeping. We should incorporate something like tumbling into our training, so that the goalkeepers, because I think one of the biggest issues on flighted balls as goalkeepers get older is because they were never really taught how to control their body. They get hurt a lot, and there's also that fear of getting hurt when they're coming out. But if they learned how to tumble and they learned how to take a hit and all of that at an earlier age, they would be more comfortable once they got 12, 13, 14.
Totally agree. Tumbling and what do you call it, trampoline? Is that the right word in English?
Yes.
I think that those two things is very good alternative training for optional training for a goalkeeper. And maybe also, but we took the whole squad in Klepp last year for a session in a gymnastic hall, and we set up. We had a plan for the session, but we found out early that we didn't remember that all the youngsters grew up now with a trampoline in their backyard.
Trampoline, yeah.
So we had to speed up pretty fast.
I thought all you Norwegians like grew up like cross country skiing and stuff.
We used to, but we found out that they were much better than we expected them to be, because everyone have a trampoline in the backyard now compared to what we didn't know about it when we were young.
But it's incredible because you think about it. It teaches you body control. Body control. And so you're not just, goalkeepers, we do this over and over again, but you're not just randomly throwing your body somewhere and landing in a heap, right? You have to be able to make a save, land properly, so you're not like, in intensive care when you're 50, and get up and go back if it's a rebound. So those things, like it's something that those kind of sports, gymnastics, like I said, other things, will teach control of your body. It's a second nature. That's what you want.
Yeah, Geir, something I want to bring up right now as we start, kind of wrapping up this episode.
You got onto a different point, but anyway, sorry.
No, that's okay. That's okay. I mean, I love it. I would love to do a whole episode on. I want gymnastic sessions. I want gymnastics.
I am the number one capoeira teacher in the entire United States that can come onto this podcast. So
really, that would be amazing. We should all do it.
Brett, are you kidding me? Yeah.
We should all actually literally film us all doing capoeira. Let's see how that works.
Are you kidding me? I'm like, I can't bend that much anymore.
Omar brought something up, Geir, that's really important, I think, and that is the fact is that with the modern game, the way the goalkeeper moves now is it's such a high to low movement. It's always a transition phase of when they're caught on the counter because they're playing high, and then the ball's being played back. So it's that retreat back and then handling the service. So a lot of the times now, the actual service into the box is coming from a higher position than it used to, and a lot of times still goalkeeper coaches are training touch, ball down towards end line, make the cross, as opposed to touch, ball up at the top of the 18, swinging a ball in, which is much more common ball nowadays.
Yeah, I totally agree. And as I said earlier, that it's not very often that we are training on balls from the corner spot. We take the ball further out, maybe all the way to the half line, play it from there. And the good thing there is that the goalkeeper has the advantage of running towards the ball and not after the ball. And I said to my goalkeepers that you have all the chance in the world to catch that ball because everyone's running after it. You're running against it or towards it. So that is also, as you say, important thing, a new thing in soccer now that you have to be. If you have a goalkeeper that can catch those balls, then you have, I guess you have 2 or 3 or 4 points more every year.
Go ahead, Omar.
I will say, so I think it was Sir Alex Ferguson, and not about crossing specifically, but he was saying, a quality goalkeeper every year will win you about 15 points, and that should separate you between the first place, second team. So right on point with that.
Yep, definitely, totally agree. I said to my goalkeeper that we signed this year, not to put any pressure on you, I said to her, but I expect 10 to 15 points of you this year.
Absolutely, and I'm living that right now. Even though with the mistakes she makes, we got 9 shutouts in. So even yesterday's game, like we have some stuff to talk about, but at the end of the day, she came up solid, she came up clean, and 9th clean sheet, and that makes the difference. 1-0.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
We if you have a goalkeeper that saves the 1-1 in the 94th minute, and you win 3 points instead of losing 2 points, then we are on a good way.
I mean, Mike, that game the other week, like her breakaway save, Lauren's breakaway save, saved the game. That was the bottom line. And like in the 85th minute.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
And that does make the difference. And so I agree with you wholeheartedly, Omar, and Sir Alex Ferguson, who I've met. I've had the privilege of meeting. Yeah, you're right. They'll get you.
You've just met Saskia. You've met everybody. It's insane.
I kind of did a couple things when I was younger. Sorry.
Last thing I want to ask you, Geir, right here is, we've obviously been talking about, the realism and making sure that the services are, realistic to what their experience and everything like that. One thing that we haven't really approached or whatever is making sure that there's restricted movement in their areas. If you're training all of this, but there's all this open space, that's not realistic to the game, because they're going to have to deal with, like you're talking about. And that's why I brought up gymnastics, because you're going to get hit. You're going to get hit. There's going to be contact, especially if you delay and then approach,
gymnastics
players.
Contact? Did I miss something? Wouldn't that be fun?
The National Gymnastics Association was
I'm like, is it full contact now? Did I miss something?
No, but I know what you mean. I mean, that we have to do the basics without too much thing to take care of, like people or dummies or whatever you have, to do the basics, to get the rhythm, to get just to learn how to do it. I'm trying to not be the one who kicks the ball. I'm trying to be in the box and be the striker, because I'm taller than them, and if they can beat me, then they can beat most of the female attackers that they're playing against. So I'm not letting them get anything for free. I'm always trying to push them in my sessions. And one thing I haven't said, but it's very, very important to me, I do not make a difference on the exercises from a female goalkeeper and to a male goalkeeper. I do exactly the same exercises, and I shoot with the same power on my goalkeepers as I do when I train male goalkeepers.
Absolutely.
No difference.
Absolutely, 100%. There is no difference.
Yeah.
It's the beauty of our sport. It's the same. And Omar, I know that you always have to be the striker.
No, just we have certain scouting reports that can play against teams that have class strikers. So for me, I have to recreate that every session. So.
But I'll be honest with you. I'll be honest with you.
How you have to recreate?
Tough crowd.
I got it. I have faith in you. I know you're recreating it, Omar.
I was really hoping that the screens froze and no one was laughing. Delayed, but it did
actually freeze for a second. I got it.
Omar, that's what you do when you're a comedian like myself. That's when you just go like, oh, I just wrote that today. So
still, yeah.
Still need to work on that. Work in progress.
Really, because I don't shoot as much as I should because I can't anymore. like so we'll just.
Well, you got
But
like you got like Sunshine and stuff like that who can shoot.
Oh my God, are you kidding me? The girls that I can put up to like that are like recovering from like injuries and stuff, and they're like taking the back of the net off, and I have to look at them and be like, okay, we're training the keeper, dial it down. Like, you know, like they're ridiculous. These women today are just, you know, I'm not going to say they were better than us in 99. That's not what I'm going to say. I'm just going to say they're overall, all encompassing, they're bigger, stronger, and faster, period. Like that. That's
but
just, it doesn't mean they're better.
But
soccer
it's very
players.
important.
Doesn't mean they're better soccer players. It means they're bigger, stronger, and faster.
Yeah, it's a very important what you said, that we also of course train with strikers or defenders or whatever on crosses too. That we don't always only do it with no one in the box. As I said to my goalkeepers, we have to train as we fight. Do it with someone in the box. Also, the communication between the goalkeeper and the defenders, that they don't leave their player when the goalkeeper yells goalkeeper, that they all take out the striker so they can make space for the goalkeeper.
Yeah.
You know, and you know, as you know, last thing I kind of want to say about this, Geir, is I loved what you said in regards to being in the box as a striker, because I think the majority of goalkeeper coaches out there are doing the service. And I'll be straight up honest with you guys. I don't know how you all feel, but when I'm serving crosses, I really can't see what's going on with the goalkeeper because I'm so focused on striking the ball. So if I can be in the box, I'll have a better idea of where the goalkeeper is and how the goalkeeper's moving, because they're an obstruction for me because I'm looking to win that ball and you know, and score on them. So it's a different perspective, and I think that's really, really important to utilize that as much as possible.
Yeah, I mean, it's very hard, and obviously if you're an individual coach out there and you're doing one-on-one, I think Omar has done a great job of using like a rebounder and stuff to get that movement across the goal, whether it hits the rebounder, it comes across, so you have to pay attention to the rebounder, come across, like do what you can in those situations to you know, if you're just one-on-one, you know. But if you have the opportunity to throw even one other player in that mix, do it. Like if they have a brother or sister, and I'm talking to like you know, just coaches out there that are doing like privates and stuff. They have a brother or sister or best friend that wants to come out and kick the ball. Don't charge them, just use them. Like, you know, it's not about money. It's about, hey, I have somebody I can play the ball, they can strike the ball, you know, and stuff. Like it means it's so much better than just the individual one-on-one. Make it as realistic as possible.
Yeah. Well,
totally agree.
Geir, I know it's getting close to 11:30 at night for you.
No,
so
no problem. No problem. I'm off tomorrow. No problem.
No, it's not sun up there all the time yet.
Oh, so. That's the summertime, right? I'm sure they get used to it. Geir, if anybody out there, first off, by the way, you know, we're looking forward for the season to start back up for you guys. I really hope that they figure all that out, and then you guys get back on that field and get those games going. Obviously, you got a great one coming in as your goalkeeper this year. You know, Danish international Catherine Larson. So we're excited to check that out. There's so many great goalkeepers out there in the world, guys. Just remember that just not even just your local league. I know some of you guys are in the UK and you know, you primarily watch WSL, or if you're in the United States, you primarily watch NWSL. There's so many great leagues out there, guys, and do your homework. Look out, watch those goalkeepers out there, guys. Make yourself a student.
And the L League starting back up in Japan.
That's awesome.
That's where I played. Brandy played, Shannon McMillan, a bunch of your 99ers and World Cup, a bunch of Norwegians played and everything like that. So, you know, they do it right as well. Yeah.
I mean, a lot of great leagues out there. Geir, if there's anybody out there that wants to connect with you, where's the best place on social media?
They can find me on I guess it's easiest because of my name, but find me on Instagram. It's GHV001. That's the easiest way to find me. because we have this ladders in Norway that we don't have in the States. So it's hard to find me on Facebook. But if you find me on Instagram, I will guide you to Facebook too.
I know it's the worst nightmare of Omar Zini right now, because I personally was trying to put the promos together for your episode, and I was trying to do a YouTube tutorial on how to find a Norwegian keyboard to put the right letters in. And it was Easter. I had to do things with the family. I gave up, and I was like, well, an O looks like it. I'll just put an O there. I couldn't find it. Go ahead.
After this, I'm gonna change my name on Facebook, so it makes it easy for you.
Oh man, guys, remember you can reach out to Saskia Weber at Saskia_Weber on all social medias. Reach out to Omar Zini at ProGKAcademy _. If Omar's not getting back to you right now, guys, he's got a really busy spring going on right now, guys. So he's not ignoring you. He's just you've been a little bit busy running a lot of different sessions, haven't you?
Is that why you haven't been returning my calls? Okay.
No, I'm just drawing up scouting reports on everything you're saying about your keepers. I'm passing it on to other.
Oh, we will.
You guys, force her goalkeepers into K-save situations. They will not do it. They will not.
LB doesn't do a K-save, so don't worry about it. You tell them that.
Oh my guys, if you have a guest suggestion or a topic suggestion at Goalkeeper Podcast, or contact at Inside the 18, that's the number 18media.com for that, guys, and you can make dreams come true. Geir reached out and he's like, I've got a guest suggestion and a topic suggestion. I'm like, love to hear who it is. He says, it's me and I've got the topic. I'm like, well, that makes it really easy right there. All right, guys, that's all the time on Inside the 18, and we are out. Later, guys.